where do you want me to start? You want me to give you the whole lowdown here? I'll throw lots of people. So as you guys can remember, last year, about the same time when this team was in town, was a guy that has a radio show named Mark McGuire. It's put on his radio show. That's where it started. It said that this franchise was obviously, he's the one that reported that we were flying into Quebec and visiting with Quebec officials, and actually the one day that he reported we were landing there, that I was there, I was sitting in the office here. I made sure everybody saw me sitting in the office. So if you trace back this week, obviously Montreal's coming in. The first place it gets reported again is on his radio show. He announces again that our attendance is down and that this team is going to relocate to Quebec. That's where it starts. And then it grows like a wildfire to people pick it up, and and I'm not meeting with obviously their media. It doesn't do me any good, and I debated whether even, but I feel I owe it to you guys at least to sit and talk about it. There's absolutely nothing's changed from a year ago, and I think some of you guys had a chance to talk to Gary Bettman, the NHL, to today. The only thing that started today is because we're playing the Montreal Canadiens tonight, and it started a few days ago out of Montreal again. So, because somebody has a radio show, and because they put whatever they want on there, and people in here have radio shows, I know. And it grows like a wildfire. That's where it's growing, and there's nothing changed, there's nothing to report. So,
is there, first of all, never trust the radio?
Yeah, I heard you.
Is there anything new? Is the settlement between Peter Carmanos and his kids, does this impact and change the story in any way from a year ago?
No, we said that when that all happened, it had nothing to do with the Hurricanes. It's been settled. Obviously, the details haven't been publicly announced. I'm sure they will at some point. And again, the Hurricanes were never part of that trust, and we still won't be, and it has nothing to do with the Carolina Hurricanes. And that'll be, once all the documents are signed, sealed, and delivered, that'll be proven out because it's public record.
I was just going to say, is Pete close to finding a buyer? I mean, is the sale?
No, there's not. We're not on it. We've completely shut down. I said that at training camp there. We've completely shut down our investment banker. Obviously, everybody knows that Pete was trying to sell it, and if somebody came along and wanted to buy it, I'm sure we'd talk about it. But I spent last year, where I spent many nights and months meeting with people, I haven't had to do that in the last 4 or 5 months.
He told me in the summer that he wasn't interested in selling the team unless he got essentially what the Islanders got. Has he intimated that to you, that he's really not even interested in selling the team?
Correct. And make it clear that, when we talk about this lawsuit, Pete is in a unique situation. He said it, and he was too honest when he said it, because then everybody grasps that the franchise is moving. Pete's 73 years old, soon to be 74. He's 4 young kids at home. His whole plan was a succession plan because he can't own this team forever. And if he doesn't say that, then maybe all these stories don't even ever happen. But he was upfront about what his plans were. Those plans haven't changed. But he's in a situation where, if, as you said, if the number's right, somebody came along, it would be something to talk about, and if not, we continue business as usual.
So to clarify, the team's not for sale?
Well, everything's for sale for price.
Well, I mean,
everything's for sale for price, so.
But actively speaking?
No, our investment banker is not actively pursuing it at this point.
So when people, especially from the outside, when they see attendance at what it is, and it's been that way for a couple of years now, you can understand the thought. So how long can the business sustain itself in this particular manner before something has to happen?
Well, just if you go back to this last CBA where The economics of our business was, when I was in Atlanta, was basically 70% of your revenue came from your gates. And now with the new CBA, that number's in the 30% range. Because, revenue sharing at one time was, $6 to $7 million a team, and now it's much greater than that. And that's the league has done a tremendous job with the CBA of helping, assisting the teams that, we're not going to be in a market like some of our competitors as far as being able to draw attendance. So revenue sharing, salary cap in our league, the revenue sharing works very well for all 30 teams.
How would you assess the financial health of the Hurricanes?
I think it's in the best shape it's ever been right now. We're a private company, but I can tell you that we've had some pretty big losses over the years, and those losses were much smaller last year, and I would say that this year will be even better.
So Don, if there's not going to be a sale and there's not going to be a new owner, the investment in the franchise that would come with it, what's the strategy for getting onto this? It's 8,000 people in the building. The team hasn't made the playoffs in 9 years, 8 years, as we all know. Feels to a lot of us like things are kind of stuck in a cycle of a lack of competitiveness on the ice that leads to a lack of interest in the market, and it's sort of a snake eating its tail.
Yeah.
In the absence of change at the top above you, what's going to fix that?
Well, I think I would, Luke, I would respectfully disagree that I truly believe if you look at where this team was on the ice 3 years ago, and Ron and Bill Peters came in here versus where they are today, I really have a hard time finding someone to say that we're not
A lot better than what we were. We still need to get better, absolutely. But if you go back from 2 years ago to last year, where sure we were out of the playoffs prior to Game 79, but officially it was Game 79 last year. And the steps that we took last year leading into this year, I think the team is much better. And so, you can talk about an owner, about, Pete doesn't spend time here and all that, but he's put the resources in this team. He's very passionate. And let's get it. I mean, he's a very passionate owner. That's why he wants to keep this franchise. He's a big hockey fan, very passionate about this team and about the city of Raleigh. So there's no doubt that the team is heading in the right direction, and I think that's going to be a big part of our success moving forward. But you also have to keep remembering, and this is my job, that there's 30 NHL teams and 16 make the playoffs and 14 don't. So we can't just bank our assets on making the playoffs. We have to continue to do what we do in the community. And every one of our revenue streams are up this year. I know you can't see it out there, but if you look back over the last 4 years, the first 10 games of the season, if we hadn't sold another ticket, we still have a few more games left before the 10th game, we were already ahead of every season from a dollar standpoint. I know visually it's not the same because we changed our policy. Go back 3 years ago, we were giving like 3,500 comps a game. This year, this game here, you can go on my Ticketmaster thing and see it. I'm not shy about this. It loads up here. So our comps tonight are 714, and 656 of those is staff, players, coaches, and Centennial Authority and stuff like that. So, I mean, you put 2,500 more people in there, we wouldn't be having these conversations, but it's also not the way you're going to run this business to be successful.
So to understand that correctly, the old way of sports and professional sports, the optics of the full crowd and the finances that used to come with it, etc., have been offset by other revenue streams, so it's really not as much the expense and the revenue as it once was?
Yeah, well, remember, we do $16, $17 a person that comes in this building in concession to parking. 10 years ago, pretty good, decent number. In today's day, and today's salaries and so forth, if we're going to if we're gonna rely on $16 or $17 coming in this building and no ticket revenue, we will be out of business. You know, it's a nice revenue source to have, it's a nice revenue stream to have, but it can't be your sole source of revenue for running this business.
So what happens now? I mean, obviously, if the franchise isn't for sale, what's the next steps? What's the short term and long term?
Well, the short term is we continue what we're doing today, and that's, you know, trying to continue to build the franchise not only on the ice but off the ice. And long term, you know, it's anybody's guess of you know, what happens in the future. But what we can control is today. I always say, I tell my staff all the time, let's not worry about things we can't control. We can't control a lot of those things, but we can control, try to put people in the seats every night, making our hockey club better, all those things. That's what we can control.
Would it help if Mr. Carmanos came out and said, we're not for sale?
Well, he's basically said that.
Apparently, people don't believe that.
But it's like this media today, but why we're doing this,
Right.
because somebody wants to raise the fact that because of our low attendance, we're gonna move. You know, I think at this point, you know, and we went through this last year, you guys remember, that's why we got the NHL involved. We can say whatever we want, but it's gonna continue to come up. As soon as, you know, Montreal rolls around again here, Toronto rolls around here, it's gonna come up again. You know, people forget, that was, what was that, last March that you guys talked to Gary Bedman, I think Jim and Luke had him on the phone. And here we are, so you had a month left of the season, not even, you know, basically a month of the season, and we're dealing with the same thing again. With nothing happening in between.
So from your experience in the league doesn't look at franchises that may optically look like they're being challenged from an attendance point of view and, you know, either come in and help or do something. Is there anything on a bigger picture level to say, you know, there may be a problem here or there, and then those types of things?
Yeah, the league's very aware. They have, we just had meetings out in Colorado Springs. The league's very aware of every franchise situation. The one thing that they have access to is all our numbers, though, which obviously, because of revenue sharing in the league. You know, the league is there to support us, to help us whatever way they can. And, you know, there's lots of franchises that need help putting people in the building. It's just, and also, you guys have been here a lot longer than I have. Go back and look at all the Novembers. Go back and look at all the Novembers. We did this on last Monday of the attendance in November. When you take away your season ticket base, our season ticket base is lower than what it was 8 years ago. We're selling the same number of tickets. We're selling the same number of tickets. Last year, if you remember, we had that December 4th game. When we played December 4th, the rest of the year, we were 2,100 people paid from that time on per game versus the first 12 or 13 games was last year in October, November. This is all, November's always been typically a tough month in this market. That's the history. You guys have access to all the numbers, you see it.
And then you've got a bigger staff working with, you know, trying to get season ticket holders, and I haven't talked to a few of them, like career season ticket holders. You know, their biggest thing that they told me is that they want to have confidence that the team is making those strides, and they're hearing those messages. They admitted that. At the same time, they're waiting for something really substantial to happen, other than winning, that they believe that there's an investment or that corner's getting turned. You know, is there something that...
Well, that was a conscious effort that we did, you know, and increasing our staff, and we have this, particularly with our season ticket holders, and I deal with them daily, I'll tell you that, is, you know, people used to hear from us twice a year, and that's when we invoice them. And now we have a 6-touch point system where every season ticket holder is going to get 3 to 4 visits in their seats during games, and another 3 or 4 phone calls. And the other thing we do, if you go 2 games without using your tickets, you're getting a phone call from us and saying, hey, you haven't been at the games, you know, you got a problem, we help you move your tickets, donate your tickets, things like that. So I think we're in a much better position today than we've ever been to take advantage of any upswing we have, and in the meantime, managing our current customers and trying to continue to increase that season ticket base. And that's where it is. We've got to increase the season ticket base, because you can play all those Mondays and Tuesdays you want. I don't care how good your team is against some of the Western opponent teams, and you're not going to sell that many individual tickets. You just aren't. That's where you got to get your season ticket base up. And then the other thing on that note too is, remember, We used to have in our season ticket packages, we used to pick the games for the fans. They would say they want the red, black, or what was it, white package. And we weren't stupid, we spread them out, so they got some good nights and some other nights. We don't do that anymore. We let our fans pick the game. They buy a 22-game package or an 11-game package, they pick the games. A good example is Anaheim. We have over 2,000 equivalents in partial plans. We had 30 people pick the game for Anaheim. Midweek against a team that nobody had any interest in, they pick them. That's why we're having success selling those, is because instead of us saying you're going to go this Tuesday, this Friday, this Sunday, they're picking their games so they come. There's going to be some games that are going to be dog games. And again, if you look at when they pick their games, the second half of the season is much more loaded than the first half.
Couple of little slow points. You tell me an investment banker, that would be Allen and Company, is that the firm that you had hired? So they're no longer being.
No, but they're still, I mean, they still have a contract with us because, I mean, it never really expires.
Right.
But we're not actively out there trying to find investors.
Right.
And I said, if somebody calls and says, hey, I want to buy the team, we're taking that call.
The other point, has Pete turned down offers for the team?
I would say that answer would be no. I would say we've had people look at it pretty hard, but we've never had to turn down an offer.
Kind of piggybacking off of what a couple other people have talked about, is there any way that the team can get out ahead of this stuff, or is it just going to be a case of just putting out the fires when they pop up and just knowing that
I guess next time Montreal comes in town, I'll have this session before they come to town. I mean, this all happened at the morning skate, I believe. This morning, it came up at the morning skate, you know, also media's down in the locker room, asking our players about what do they think about moving. So, I mean, I don't know how you know, sorry, I mean, I wish, if you guys give me a heads up what you're gonna say before you say it, I'll get out ahead of it.
Good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.